It's working. Perfect. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hi, everyone. Um, so good to see all of you. This is See Through, your podcast with me, Akshita Gopi. If you have not been here before, um, welcome. I'm the host. If you have been here before, thank you for showing up again. Thank you for being a regular. We have been journeying through Krishna book. We've been going to some really cool virtual pilgrimage spots within the land of Vrindavan, Shri Krishna's home village. And we spoke last week about how Krishna moved from Gokul to Vrindavan because there was just too much trouble happening in Gokula. So they thought maybe a change of scenery was well overdue. Maybe that would save the child from all of the mishaps, the accidentally on purpose sent demons that kept coming after this poor child ever since he was like 3 days old. And even before that, he's been in like a transcendental witness protection program since he was born, except for it's not so secret. But it's also a little bit difficult to hide the Lord of the universe. I think that they started out with a difficult task. But we saw last week how Krishna moved from Gokula to Vrindavan and how all of the inhabitants that moved with him were able to even see from afar Govardhan Hill and the Jamuna and all of the forests. And they all got really, really excited because their cows would have a nice place to graze. They would have beautiful scenery. They'd have lots of places to play games. Everybody was enjoying happily until these two demons came upon the scene. One, Vatsasura, the other, Bakasura. And I promised that today we would delve more into these stories, bring out some more details, and just kind of like relish the fun times on this Monday. So we have those who are watching both in our Zoom room and on YouTube. Welcome to all of you. If you would like to be a part of the Zoom room, you can do so by joining Patreon. And I'm putting the link to Patreon in the chat box on YouTube. Usually I would put up the link for Krishna book as well, but this day we are reading from everything but Krishna book. So Krishna book gave us the summary study of what was happening, and then I went and researched a little bit to find more details because I love them. Because how adorable are the details? The details are always great. So we have two sources that we'll be reading from. One is Garga Samhita. And if anybody remembers, we've taken a look at Garga Samhita before. But Garga Muni was the sage who performed the name-giving ceremony for Krishna and Balaram after they were born. And so he did their astrological charts, he did their name-giving, he does all of their purificatory rites when they're first born. So Garga Muni kind of knows just about everything. So he has told a lot of these pastimes to some others. And then it has been compiled and it is now called Garga Samhita, which tells so many of the details of Krishna's pastimes. The other source that we will be reading from and looking at is Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu is a godsend. It is, we can't live without Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu is by Jiva Goswami, and it tells kind of the stories of what happens almost, well, not really. It starts after Krishna has left Vrindavan, and all of the inhabitants are trying to find ways to maintain their lives. And so they invite two court composers, storytellers that Nanda Maharaj has within his court, Madhukanta and Snigdakanta. And each evening, they regale all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan with stories of Krishna's pastimes. So some of these will sound like they are speaking about Krishna in the past and future tenses. So you'll hear Krishna being compared with things that he'll do later with pastimes that he's done in Vrindavan. And you might think like, what's happening? Why? It's because a lot of these stories are being told as a way of the Brijbasis hanging on for dear life after Krishna has left Vrindavan. Externally. Internally, Krishna never actually leaves Vrindavan. Externally, he does so in order to save the day and save the world and kill demons. And really, did we need it? I mean, I guess he has to save the whole world, but really, couldn't he have any other way? But we'll be diving into both of these sources because they're loads of fun, and they make my day better. And even just researching them was making my day better. So I'm excited to share them all with you. We are nothing without a little background music. And I think we can begin. Let's begin with Garga Samhita, since we've done this once. So from Garga Samhita, which actually can be found on Amazon, go figure. If you literally type in just Garga Samhita, Garga Samhita, there's a nice hardcover book. Mine was acquired before Amazon was shipping anything and everything, but they still have them. They have them in stock. It is a resource that I don't think I could live without. I don't know how I was ever living without it. I got it when I was had to have been maybe 15 or 16, and I got it from a really, really amazing devotee who would come, and she would live 6 months in the US and 6 months in Vrindavan. And whenever she came back from Vrindavan, she would bring loads of gifts. And one of the gifts that she brought me was this book. And it's been with me ever since. So we'll start with Garga Samhita. This is chapter 4, the liberation of Vatsasura. Narada Muni replied. So we'll have a lot of conversations in conversations. The most important thing to know is that Narada Muni is speaking to a king named Bahulashva. That's all. So Narada Muni replied, after hearing Sananda's words, noble-hearted Nanda became happy. Because if we remember, they were all kind of wondering, what do we do about the disturbances here? Do we move? Do we move the child? Do we set up a fort? What do we do? So Nanda decided he would go there with all the cowherd people, there meaning Vrindavan. Decorated with Yashoda, Rohini, all the gopis, many horses, chariots, soldiers and Brahmins with many cows, carts, adults followed by children, musicians playing shankas or conch shells, and dundubis, which is a big drum, and with his 2 sons, Krishna and Balaram, noble-hearted King Nanda riding on a chariot went, O king, to Vrindavan forest. With his daughter on his lap and his wife by his side, and accompanied by many cows and gopas, King Vrishabhanu, riding on an elephant, as many musicians sweetly played mridangas, talas, venas, and flutes, also went to Vrindavan forest. This is very important, because King Vrishabhanu is the father of Srimati Radharani. And so if she didn't also go to Vrindavan, it would have been a very sad tale. Right? Like all of our ideas of and hopes of romance would have ended right there. But luckily for us, everyone moved. The Nandas, the Upanandas, and the 6 Vrishabhanus So it's always interesting to note that these are titles. So Nanda was one of the Nandas, but there are Nandas and Upanandas and several Vrishabhanus. Among them was King Vrishabhanu, the head of all the Vrishabhanus and father of Srimati Radharani. Accompanied by all their associates, also went to Vrindavan forest. When they entered Vrindavan forest, all the Gopas and their followers made homes for themselves here and there. Maharaj Vrishabhanu built a beautiful city with many assembly houses, pavilions, lakes, royal roads, and 1,000 gardens. This is the kind of like farm village that I can get down with. Like these are the things. We have like royal roads and pavilions and 1,000 gardens. This does not seem like, when you think, oh, rustic and it's a village. It's not what was happening. It was way better, so much better. Everything was surrounded by a fortress with 7 gates and a moat 4 yojanas around. 1 yojana is 8 miles. This was a very large moat. This is a really big moat. Filled with love for the gopis and intent on enjoying many pastimes, Sri Krishna wandered in Nanda's city and Vrishabhanu's city with the boys. O king, handsome Krishna and Balaram, as well as the other Gopa boys, were then given the duty of protecting the calves in Vrindavan. Sweet little calves and sweet little boys. Accompanied by the boys, Krishna and Balaram herded the calves on the sacred outskirts of the village near the Jamuna's shore. Now, let's take a minute to reflect on how differently children were built back then. This is Dwapara Yuga, right? 5,000 years ago. These children are 5. Would you leave a 5-year-old in charge of anything today? Like, you wouldn't even leave the 5-year-old alone with the pets, Like, if you have one dog, you're like, no, you can't watch the pet. The pet's watching you at this point. Now imagine, Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows. I can imagine those cows must have had maybe more than 1 calf. And they put these 5-year-old boys in charge of these animals and each other. That's amazing. And then you wonder why they came home every day with a new story and you have to ask them like, but did you die? It's because you put 5-year-olds in charge of the animals and each other. I need somebody to help me make sense of the math of this. This is that no one has an age which is old enough to be looking after anyone. Passing here and there through many groves and gardens, enjoying many pastimes as they went, and sometimes even crawling on the ground, Krishna and Balaram walked in the forest. Wearing a network of tinkling ornaments and tinkling anklets, wearing garments of blue and yellow, decorated with necklaces and bracelets, throwing things with the boys, intently playing their flutes along with the boys, making an array of noises with their mouths and chasing the birds' shadows. Krishna and Balaram, decorated with flowers, leaves, and peacock feathers, were very splendid and glorious. O king, aware that the demon Vatsasura had entered among the calves on Kamsa's order, Krishna stealthily approached him. Moving his tail as he ran among the Gopas with his hind legs, the demon struck Krishna on the shoulder. This calf kicked this little boy. This is a problem. This is actually terrifying. As the boys fled, Krishna grasped the demon's 2 legs, whirled him about, and threw him to the ground. Picking him up again with both hands, Krishna threw the demon into a kapita tree. When the demon died, the great kapita tree made the other kapita trees fall. And no one thought that this was extraordinary. He's 5. As the astonished boys called out, "Well done, well done!" the demigods in heaven showered flowers amidst shouts of victory. Then from the demon came a great light that then entered Lord Krishna. Sri Bahulashva, our king, then said, "O sage, what pious deeds did Vatsasura do in his previous life, so that now he is able to enter Lord Krishna's body, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead who is greater than the greatest?" Right? Because we always want to know, how'd this demon become a demon? Sri Narada said, "He was a great demon who was named Pramila and was the son of Muru. After conquering the demigods, he entered Vashishta Muni's ashram and saw a cow named Nandini. Desiring that cow, the demon transformed himself into a Brahmin and begged for the beautiful cow. As Vashishta, who had divine vision, stood silent, the cow spoke. Sri Nandini said, "You are a demon, Muru's son, and you have assumed the form of a Brahmin to steal the sage's cow. Therefore, O wicked-hearted one, now you become a calf." Sri Narada said, "The great demon that was Muru's son at once became a calf. He circumambulated Vashishta and the cow, Nandini, bowed down and said, 'Please save me.' The cow, Nandini, said, 'O great demon, at the end of Dwapar Yuga, when you go among many calves, you will attain liberation.' Sri Narada said, 'For this reason, the demon Vatsasura entered Lord Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is not very surprising.'" I mean, speak for yourself, though, Narada Muniji. I think it's very surprising. If I was hanging out with my friends, and then said friend whirled a calf into a tree, which then made other trees fall down, even though I would have had my suspicions that one time he pulled the 2 trees down in the backyard of his own house, I would have still had my little 5-year-old suspicions. But if I'd have seen my friend throw the other calf into the tree, and then all the other trees fell down, and then a light went into my friend, I might have thought it was a little astonishing. A little. Just a little. But let's see what Gopal Champu has to say about this. So Gopal Champu, as I said, begins with the 2 court poets and storytellers, Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta. And they take turns telling stories about Krishna. And then sometimes when one is telling stories, another will interject with like fun details and things. So you'll hear about Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta. As on previous days, the talks began in the early morning. Snigdhakanta spoke. After describing their pastimes while they were extremely young, we will describe their pastimes at the end of their tender Komar age, which is around 5. In my heart, I worship Krishna as in Balaram's age of Komar, in which they gave up drinking breast milk, in which their limbs became well-formed, in which their restlessness became prominent, and their long eyes trembled during play, during which they contently laughed, and were absorbed in interesting pastimes, during which they became the source of pastimes for all their friends, and strongly desired to see the calves. Balaram was white with blue cloth, and Krishna was blue with yellow cloth. They became skillful at tying the milk ropes and rattling their milk pails. They were fickle in playing, and imparted various emotions of love to their friends. They gradually learned to dress themselves. With effort, they put on the cloth given by their mother, and thinking they could tie it, they rejected their mother's help. Krishna would often become embarrassed on only being able to half-dress himself, and would put on his clothes as quickly as possible. How cute is he? I love it. When Nanda would go out with the cows, Krishna and Balaram would go with him and wander about in all directions. The boys would sit on the lap of Nanda, or all the people who came to the forest out of affection for them, and would ask about the objects in the forest, giving joy to all. Can you imagine? You just go to see Krishna, and Krishna comes and plops in your lap. What's that? What's that? And Krishna points to everything. What's that? What's over there? And you get to describe everything that's in the forest to Krishna just because. just because. How adorable and how fortunate are the residents of Vrindavan that at any moment you could find a Krishna in your lap, eager to ask you a million questions. And because our Lord is unlimited, we know He's going to have an unlimited amount of questions about everything. But it's still the epitome, the pinnacle of sweetness. Saying boldly, "I will go first," though forbidden to do so, they would take 2, 4, or 6 cows, and herding them in front, they would go off playing. Incessantly laughing, they would run while herding cows and bulls, and would stop them by grabbing their horns. They would stop 5 animals at a time. These are small children still. I understand why they were forbidden to do so. When some days had passed and mealtime had passed, Yashoda began scolding Nanda with affection. "Are you not doing something unprecedented by taking the 2 boys to the forest?" When Nanda asked permission from Yashoda and Rohini for the boys to go to the forest, the mothers refused, causing the 2 boys to feel cheated. They became shy and sorrowful. Being prevented, the 2 boys cried with anxious hearts. One time, they secretly departed in order to join their father and give joy to their companions. But not recognizing the right path, they met in a pasturing ground outside of Braj and began playing like herds of calves. So they got lost and then played instead. Because, what else? Understanding the active nature of the boys, Nanda and Yashoda again considered with minds fearful in order that they could preserve happiness. Since the 2 boys cannot remain without association of the cows, let them take care of the calves at a place close to Braj. Privately considering the matter with his brothers who knew mantras, and finding an auspicious day through the priests, he had the boys begin herding the calves with the chanting of auspicious mantras. The great cowherds happily gave their young boys the duty of protecting the calves. The 2 boys appeared beautiful after being bathed, dressed, and fed by their mothers, while holding sticks, milking ropes, flutes, and buffalo horns. Now I see them, they're like dressed up like grown little boys on official business with their official cowherding gear. When leather shoes were brought for him, Krishna refused them, saying, No. Using them would be a blow to the dharma of respecting the cows. Seeing Krishna act in this way, Balaram also rejected the leather shoes. Considering the shower of nectar from those feet, the earth removed all the thorns from that place and made the surface into dust fine like pollen by having the cow's hooves break it into small pieces so that Krishna would wander with his feet in Vrindavan. In this way, Vrindavan, free of insect pests and thorns, is praised in literatures like Harivamsa. They say that there was a pact made by the earth, all of the animals, and all of nature throughout all of Vrindavan, that they would carefully preserve the footprints of Krishna. So wherever Krishna would walk, the cows would walk slightly on the outskirts so as not to disturb the footprints of Krishna left in the dust of Braj. Mother Earth would conspire with all of them by making her dust as soft as velvet so that it would capture every impression on the soles of Krishna's feet. And even the raindrops seemed like they wanted to dodge Krishna's feet, his footprints, lest they wash them away. This was their ornament. This was the most valuable thing that they had. This was the treasure of their lives. So they all conspired together. Let us not disturb not one footprint. And in this way, Krishna's footprints would decorate all of Vrindavan. With the appearance of the fine footprints of Krishna's lotus petal feet everywhere, everyone became filled with bliss. Snigdakanta now commits himself to returning to the present topic. When the boys departed for herding the calves at the auspicious moment, servants who defeated Devatas and caused all auspiciousness, carrying ingredients like splendid betel nut, colorful umbrellas, jamaras or yak-tail fans, and silk cloth, followed after the boys and experienced indescribable inner happiness. Starting with their mother and father, at every door the excellent women offered great wealth and performed arti with jewels shining like lamps. They sprinkled the boys with fragrant flowers and glorified them with auspicious songs. They satisfied the boys with a profusion of befitting sweet words. With wide eyes, they saw the boys in front of them. The two boys then departed after offering respects to the elders, while experiencing the skill of faultless sounds of musical instruments. The Devatas performed the same activities. Now, dressed in blue and yellow cloth, Krishna and Balaram appeared glorious among the children and calves as they played using flutes, canes, leaves, horns, ropes, balls, and wooden puppets. Looking at the boys in the distance with tenderness, the pious elders then returned home. After going some distance, Krishna, Balaram, and the boys first let the calves wander freely, and then put them in a group and brought them to a place filled with fresh grass. The boys played there until lunchtime. The two boys played their flutes, scattered fruits about, and went here and there making sounds with their ankle bells. Imitating bulls, they fought with each other, winning against their opponents. With great affection, taking support of their friends, they fought each other with great noise. Having the calves eat the grass and drink water, Krishna and Balaram then inspected all of them. Okay, listen closely, because this part, my whole heart. Krishna and Balaram then go to inspect all of the calves. Among the calves, Krishna hugged one with his arms to relieve its itching, and then, touching his forehead to its own forehead, he told the calf, "If you want to go to your mother, I can arrange that." With such relaxing words, he satisfied the calves. How adorable. How adorable. I really just want somebody to draw the sweetest picture of little Gopal with his forehead against a calf's forehead and talking to this. How cute is this little boy? So adorable. After the two splashed water on their friends, they put on special forest clothing, and wandering about became astonished on seeing the wonderful animals and birds. When the two boys imitated the sounds of an animal, that animal would approach them. When they imitated the roaring of lions or tigers, seeing the animals become frightened, they stopped making those sounds. Well, of course. Happy because women sent by their mothers arrived with lunches at noon, Krishna quickly called his friends by playing his flute, whose notes sounded like human words, in order to give them bliss. If we don't think Krishna can speak to us through his flute, we are highly mistaken. He calls these cowherd boys to come eat by blowing on his flute, notes which sound like human words. Imagine. And somehow or other, he has a song for every single one of us, specifically to call us. One day, we'll hear it. When they all gathered, the women honored them, putting them in lines and had them sit down, placing Krishna and Balaram in the center. Since the boys desired to eat, the women then served them the food in the proper order. For fun, some of the boys criticized the food. They argued with the women, and some of the women answered back. After the amusement of hearing the conversations, a qualified nurse spoke to Krishna when he seemed to refuse the food in order to give pleasure to the servant boys who could obtain the rejected food. Carefully I have brought drinks and delicious food. Rohini has carefully prepared it and sent me. Yashoda has repeatedly ordered me that you should taste the food. You should please us three by eating. After joyfully taking lunch with friends like Ram and Dham, like Sridham, Krishna performed Achaman, and the nurse gave him a golden box filled with camphor-flavored betel. She said, "O child, please follow your mother's orders and, giving up your childish behavior, quickly return home soon." Going some distance, considering the boys engaged in playing, she turned her head and with flashing eyes said to the boys skillful at herding the calves, "Hey, cowherd boys, you are the life of Yashoda. Please bring Krishna back quickly." When the women had gone, the boys fed the calves the tenderest grass mixed with flowers and headed slowly towards Braj while dancing, laughing, and playing. The sons of Brahma praised him from the sky and Devatas showered flowers. Krishna took the path leading home. Along with Balaram and his friends, Krishna began walking back in order to bring the calves to their pens. They then speak about Krishna and the inhabitants of Braj seeing Krishna returning home. They talk about Krishna being ornamented as wonderfully as he was ornamented in the morning. Then he calls the calves, and then he makes sure that the calves are taken to their mothers. Servants bring the abundant milk. Krishna milks the cows in the evening, and then servants bring the abundant milk to the house. Going to the rooftop to rest, Krishna gives bliss to all. Finally putting their sons to sleep, the mothers, surrounded by servant boys, go to the main building to do their chores. After the boys had spent some time blissfully in Vrindavan, cruel Kamsa, hearing the news of Krishna's arrival in Vrindavan from spies, began to think, "This child of Nanda seems to be the child hidden by Vasudeva deceptively, according to Durga Devi's prediction. The child has taken a new body and killed Putana, whose powers were uncontestable by great power. My heart fears even his name. He must be killed by some trick. He has thwarted greater and greater devices. It has become useless to attack him." Calling a servant, he said, "What does he have the most attraction for?" The servant said, "This boy seems to have a great affection for the calves." Kamsa said, "You should go to your room now." And then he spoke to another guard, "Bring Vatsasura to me. He has caused disturbance to even Indra." That person, showing great courage with respect, brought Vatsasura. Vatsasura stood there in humble state like a drop of water. As dirt dissolves in the presence of water, Kamsa's heart melted in the presence of Vatsasura. He whispered to Vatsa, "My friend Vatsasura, please go to Nanda's Braj," and then approached the boy who herds the calves and plays. Disguising yourself as a calf, attack him. Thinking one should follow the king's orders, he went to the place as ordered. At a clean place on the bank of the Jamuna called Vatsakridan, Krishna, who kills such demons, while caring for the calves, saw the demon who was poisoned to the eyes. Vatsasura began proudly wandering about with his false motives. The calves sensed his presence by his smell at a place with abundant grass and became agitated at his sight. Right now, all the calves are like, "This one doesn't smell like the other ones. This is not great." Seeing their condition, Krishna said to Balaram in a solitary place, "Elder brother, have you seen a calf near the water which did not come with the others in the morning?" Balaram said, "No, brother." Krishna said, "Please examine things again carefully." Balaram said, "Well, that calf seems to have a ferocious nature." Krishna said, "Oh, elder brother, it is a demon." Balaram said, "This is true, since he is suddenly looking at the calves and us with a cruel glance." Krishna said, "If you give me permission, I will kill him." Balaram said, "I fear gossip from the people." Krishna continued, "On killing him, it will be clear that he is a demon. No one will criticize us." Balaram said with a smile, "O killer of the enemy, the demon is very devious. slowly approach him by some trick. Krishna, marked with the Srivatsa, called the calves close with a stuttering sound and relieved the itching on their throats and bellies by scratching them. Playing and singing everywhere, Krishna spread joy. Thinking he had obtained his opportunity, the demon disguised as a calf approached Krishna to be scratched. Showing an affectionate nature, Krishna took the calf by its feet and tail and began twirling it around. By twirling the demon around many times, the demon lost its powers and reverted to its original form. In order to make fruits fall from a tree, Krishna hurled the demon into a bale tree. The cowherd boys praised his grace, which was like that of a dancer, and his power of knowledge. The devatas showered laughter and smiles. One could not distinguish the shower of flowers from the shower of smiles. The devas in the sky, raising a wave of laughter with smiles, said certainly the conclusions concerning Krishna, the killer of demons, has been fulfilled. They expressed Krishna's thoughts as follows. I am a cowherd, and I know about cows. If anyone hides himself, I can understand the enemy of the cow by inference. O enemy of the devatas, disguised as a calf, how can you escape my hand? If you desire to be free, when dead, you can then have liberation. In protecting the calves, Krishna and Balaram protected all people. To do this, they took their breakfast and then often killed demons. Krishna and Balaram returned to their houses as on previous days. They told their friends to keep the killing of the demon a secret, since it would disturb the elders. And that is the full, detailed, laden story of the liberation of Vatsasura. I think Krishna and Balaram's very mature conversation before killing the demon is one of my favorite parts. Really, Krishna just conferring, like, look again carefully. How could Balaram, Adi Guru, the indwelling supersoul within all hearts, even think to say, I don't see anything different. Everything looks the same to me. Like, it doesn't. But Balaram often will overlook many demonic faults. This is the grace of Guru. No matter what disguises we try to put on, no matter what demoniac faults we have within our hearts, our gurus are so incredibly merciful. They start to overlook all of those faults, and instead they give us all the treasure. They will be the ones to speak on our behalf. No, Krishna, everyone belongs here. It's fine. So I am so grateful to think about and meditate on all of our gurus today. And Sri Balaram, our original guru, the Shakti from which all other gurus get their potency, playing like a child, willing to overlook what I'm sure he knew was an obvious demon, but willing to give that demon a chance. Amazing. Let's see what happens with this next demon. See if we can wrap all this up in the next 15 minutes. When Kamsa heard through spies that Krishna had killed Vatsasura, he closed his eyes repeatedly, which I think is something like Kamsa blinking in complete baffled amazement. How is this kid doing? How is this kid doing this? And how is he a kid? Why? When he fainted, his ministers revived him with great difficulty. He then began to consult with his ministers. I have sent many skillful, proud people to injure Krishna, but none of them have been able to produce auspiciousness. Though I request them to fool him, my plans are thwarted, and they are killed. What should I do? The ministers said, O Lord, we can take the help of Bakasura, who is very powerful. Those who know him understand that he is the wickedest of all. I don't know if wickedest is a word, but it's in this book. Kamsa said, yes, he is my best friend. Please send him here. cruel Bakasura, protected by Kamsa, the tormentor of devotees, knowing that Krishna would come to the place called Bakastala, at the mountain of Nandishwar, near a lake, fixed himself there like a moving peak of a mountain. Krishna would think that he was a mountain with a gaping mouth resembling a cave. The cowherd boys, along with Krishna, grazed the calves, made them drink water, and keeping them on the bank, drank water and bathed each other. Getting out of the water, they dressed themselves. They spread out to collect flowers to decorate each other. While picking flowers, they saw Bakasura. The boys thought, "Is this a mountain in the distance? How has it come here? I see it has a peak. It looks as if Indra has struck it in anger with his thunderbolt. I think it is not a mountain, but some kind of animal, which must have done something wrong and is hanging its head. I think it is a crane with a sharp beak and frightening appearance." Krishna said, "It looks like a bird, but does not behave like a bird. Is it some type of new crane, which is sitting here like a mountain?" Desiring to come closer to it, Krishna began to speak with deceptive words. As a baby snake, poisonous even to the touch, approaches a frog out of curiosity, lotus-eyed Krishna, surrounded by the boys, holding raised sticks, approached the beak of the crane as if he did not know about the demon, although he actually knew. As a frog tries to swallow a young snake, Bakasura tried to swallow Krishna, but could not close his mouth. Oh, by this action, which was like dense darkness covering light, he caused great distress to Balaram and Sridham and the other cowherd boys. The book literally says, oh, I didn't just add that in because of my own, like it literally, it gives me cues for the emotions. Just as Balaram, though knowing Krishna's strength, experienced pain when Krishna went to deliver Rukmini, he experienced pain on seeing Bakasura's actions, since prema includes within it all other emotions. And this is what I meant when I said that they are telling the story after the fact. So we are now hearing, why are we hearing about future pastimes? Krishna has not even gone to kidnap Rukmini. What are we talking about? But Snigdakanta, they are evoking all of the memories in the Brijbasis simultaneously. Since Krishna was like a blazing fire in his throat, Bakasura spit him out quickly. Since Krishna would burn his insides, the demon understood that it would be impossible to swallow him. Again, the acid reflux, not great. Like a fool, Bakasura tried to squeeze him with the tip of his beak. But just as Bhima killed Jarasandha, or just as a child uproots a bamboo tree, by his unlimited strength, Krishna destroyed Bakasura's beak using his hands and then killed him. So once again, we see we're talking about Bhima and Jarasandha, which has not happened yet, but which we understand because Snigdakanta is speaking after the fact. When Bakasura swallowed Krishna, the boys and Balaram fainted. When he spit Krishna out, they became conscious again. Natural prema does not give regard to any others. The devas and the boys became jubilant. When the killer of Vatsasura killed Bakasura, the devas began dancing and playing musical instruments. Picking jasmine flowers from the nearby Nandana gardens in the heavenly planets, in great joy they showered these flowers continuously. Observing Krishna's intention and looking on in surprise, the devas laughed at Bakasura. "Oh, fool, when you tried to swallow Krishna with your beak, it all helped you. If all your limbs were torn apart, what fault does Krishna have?" When Krishna emerged from Baka, the boys immediately regained their life. How can one describe their tears, trembling, choked voices, and change of complexion? With great excitement, they immediately went to the lake and bathed. Leaving the place and taking the calves, they departed for their houses. Story's not done though. Garga Samhita has an even more in-depth version of how Bakasura meets his end and the liberation of Bakasura. Sri Narada says, one day, As he was herding the calves in the company of Balaram and the boys, Krishna saw a great duck demon by the Jamuna's shore. Let me go again with that duck analogy. I don't know. Its form was like a white mountain, its feet gigantic, its quacking like the rumbling of clouds, and its beak like a thunderbolt. The demon swallowed Lord Krishna, and the boys fled. All the boys wept as if they had lost their lives. All the demigods came and cried out, "Alas, alas!" Bringing his very powerful thunderbolt, Indra struck the demon. Remember when they said he looked like a mountain who had been struck by Indra's thunderbolt? Well, he was actually. So, Bakasura swallows Krishna. All of the cowherd boys faint, and all of the demigods arrive on the scene. Indra then throws a thunderbolt at this demon. With that blow, the demon fell, but he did not die. Again, the demon stood up. Krishna is still in his throat. Then Brahma became angry, and with his Brahmadanda, Lord Brahma has a rod, he struck the demon. With that blow, the demon fell and was unconscious for 2 gatikas. 1 gatika equals 24 minutes. The demon was unconscious for 48 minutes. Krishna still inside his throat. Still, the powerful demon did not die. He shook his body, yawned again, stood up, and roared like a cloud. With his trident, Lord Shiva struck the great demon. 1 wing was cut off, but still the very fearful and the very ferocious demon did not die. What is it going to take to kill this demon? With his wind weapon, Vayu struck the duck demon. The duck flew away and then returned. With his Yamadanda, Yamaraj struck the demon. With that blow, the very powerful duck did not die. Indeed, the Yamadanda became broken, but the duck was not hurt. Then, powerful Surya approached. The archer Surya struck the demon duck with 100 sharp arrows flying to his wings. The duck did not die. With a sharp sword, Kuvera attacked the demon. His 2nd wing was cut off, but the great demon didn't die. He has no wings now. With his ice weapon, Soma, the god of the moon, struck the great duck. Tormented by the cold, the demon fainted, but then again stood up. With his fire weapon, Agni struck the great duck. Even though his feathers were burned to ashes, the very wicked demon did not die. So now he looks like one of those cartoons, where they where they burn all the feathers off of whatever bird cartoon is there, and he's just kind of like running around. He has no wings. He's just kind of like running around, featherless, looking like a fricasseed demon, and still he's alive, and Krishna is in his throat. Cowherd boys fainted. Everyone is in complete disturbance and turmoil. Varuna bound him with a rope and dragged him across the ground. From the dragging, the great sinner was hurt, but he did not die. Next, powerful goddess Bhadrakali struck him with a mace. With that blow, he fainted and fell into a deep coma. His head broken, the very wicked and powerful demon rose, shook his body, and roared like a thundering cloud. This is the most resilient demon I've ever seen in my entire life. This is resilience. This is determination. Then, Kartikeya, the son of Lord Shiva, threw his Shakti weapon at him. Although one of his feet was cut off, the demon, the best of birds, did not die. No wings, no feathers, burnt to a crisp. 1 foot. 1 foot. Okay, don't tell me we can't chant our japa, because why? Okay? We have so much more than this demon. Roaring like thunder, the demon angrily chased the demigods with what? What did he chase them with? and with his sharp beak made them flee. The demigods flew into the sky, and the demon, filling the circle of the directions with a great sound, flew after them, with what, I again say. At that time, all the Devarishis, Brahmarishis, and Brahmins offered blessings to Nanda's son Krishna. Then, from inside the duck, Krishna expanded his glorious form. His throat broken, the great duck at once vomited Krishna out. When the duck came to catch him in his beak, Krishna grasped the duck's tail and threw him to the ground. The duck stood up again and opened his beak. With both hands, Krishna split the duck's beak as an elephant breaks the branch of a tree. At this, the demon died. Now it kind of brings more weight when the Devatas are saying, well done, because not like they didn't try. They tried. Maybe we should help Krishna. They tried. At this, the demon died. A light left his body and entered Lord Krishna. With shouts of victory, the demigods showered flowers. Filled with wonder, all the gopas embraced Krishna and said, "Friend, you are saved from death's mouth." After killing the duck, Krishna cheerfully, and singing as he went, returned with the boys and calves to his father's palace. When they entered the house, the boys told what Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had done, and when the people heard it, they became filled with wonder. Sri Bahulashva, our king, said, "Who was this demon before? Why did he become a duck? Why was he able to enter Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the master of all?" Sri Narada said, "O king, he was a demon named Utkala, who was Hayagriva's son. He defeated many demigods in battle, and he stole Indra's parasol, his royal umbrella." Hayagriva, there are two Hayagrivas. There's a horse demon, Hayagriva, and then there is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Hayagriva. I think they're speaking of the horse demon, Hayagriva, in this case. Stealing from the kingdoms of many human kings, for 100 years this powerful demon ruled a kingdom full of opulence. One day, the demon came near Jajali Muni's leaf hut, at the place where the Ganga meets the ocean. Casting a fish hook into the water, the demon caught a fish. Although forbidden again and again, the wicked-hearted demon gave no respect to the sage's words. The perfect sage Jajali cursed him, saying, "O demon, because you eat fish like a duck, become a duck." Well, that was really anticlimactic. It's like really simple. I was expecting something way more. That's it. In a moment, the demon became a duck. His powers lost and his pride and arrogance gone, he fell with folded hands at the sage's feet and spoke to him. Utkala said, "O sage, forgive me. I did not know the power of your austerities. The wise know that association with great saints like yourself is the door to liberation. Saints like yourself see friends and enemies equally. They see that honor and dishonor, gold and a clod of earth, and happiness and unhappiness are all the same. O sage, what does one not obtain by seeing great saints? By seeing them, one obtains Brahma's kingdom, and even Indra's position. O Jajali, O tiger among sages, what is the use of the three goals of life? By the mercy of great saints, one can attain the supreme Brahman." Sri Narada said, becoming pleased, Jajali Muni, who had performed austerities for 60,000 years, spoke to him. "And we can't chant japa for 2 hours. Yeah, just a little perspective, 60,000 years of austerities to gain the goal of meditating upon the Supreme Person, or 2 hours of japa. And they give you, the japa actually gives you the better result? Okay. Not going to be too busy anymore, friends. I'm not going to lie to myself and say I'm too busy anymore, because this man had 60,000 years with which to meditate. Jajali Muni spoke to him. Sri Jajali said, "In the Vaivashvata Manvantara, during the 28th Yuga cycle, at the end of Dwapar Yuga, in Bharatvarsh, at Mathura, in the circle of Braj Mandal, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will herd many calves in Vrindavan forest. At that time, you will enter Lord Sri Krishna's existence. Of this there is no doubt. Even by hating him, many demons such as Hiranyaksha have already attained the Supreme. Sri Narada said, in this way, by Jajali's blessing, the demon Utkal became Bakasura and entered Sri Krishna's existence. What is not possible by the association of great saints? And that is the long story of how Bakasura took several hours to die. Everyone threw their choicest weapons, and Krishna with his bare hands, like, I got this. And again, he's 5. He's 5. That's it. Even though he looked like he was near 10-ish. Krishna is aging. He aged 1.5. He looked 1.5 times his age until he reached 16. And then he never aged again. Which is why, according to our Vaishnav philosophy and Vedanta Shastra, you don't usually see Krishna with facial hair, right? No mustache, no beard, because he forever looks like he's 16. And the 16-year-olds I've seen, I'm like, they've got peach fuzz at best. So Krishna doesn't usually have facial hair within our Vaishnav Sampradaya. But this is the amazingly long story of Bakasura. And the lesson is, what is there that cannot be accomplished by good association? Bad association can ruin our minds. But likewise, good association can save us from the most bleak fate. This demon was cursed to be a duck. Likewise, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, we also heard they were cursed to become trees. Vatsasura was cursed to become a calf. But because of the great association of these people who actually have their best interests at heart, that curse becomes the greatest blessing. Can we see these things in our lives at some point, any point, where the obstacles and hurdles that we are facing have the opportunity to bring us to Krishna, and can therefore become some of the biggest blessings in our entire lives? Anything can be a blessing if we use it to drag ourselves closer to Krishna, however we can. I think Bakasura was really smart. He had some Mahaprasad. It didn't agree with him. He had to go back, try again. But in the end, it all worked out. He found his way. And if Krishna can make room for demons, he can make room for all of us. Amazingly, these pastimes happen in Boma Vrindavan, or the Vrindavan that manifests itself on the earthly planet. So what happens in Goloka Vrindavan? There are no demons. There are rumors of demons, so that everybody keeps the suspense and the excitement. And then sometimes, Yogamaya engages a few devotees in dressing up maybe like a demon just for a time of a pastime. Sometimes she creates expansions of devotees to act as though they might be demons, but only for a shadow of a moment. Because in Goloka Vrindavan there are no demons. Everyone's a devotee. You can't get in without being a devotee. But Krishna loves to have fun. And so, if there is room enough for all of these personalities, there's room for us. We are not so far gone. We're not so bad that Krishna won't welcome us back home. And we can make it back home. Srila Prabhupada promised us. And on the strength of that promise, I say we can do it. We can complete the mission in this very lifetime. All it takes is our willingness to be protected by the holy names, to be sheltered by Krishna Katha, and to hold on tight to good association, which can change our lives. So thank you all for being my association this Monday morning, afternoon, evening. It brightens up my day. I like getting to read with all of you and have real-time reactions, because even though I've read it before, Krishna is great. He makes me forget a lot of things. And so then when I read it again, I'm always kind of just like, was this here before? And then you have new points that kind of come into your mind. So thank you for allowing me to experience these pastimes with all of you again and again and again. Next week, we'll be picking up again with Krishna book, diving back in, seeing what adventures we go on next, what forests we'll visit throughout Vrindavan, going on virtual pilgrimage with one another, picking up blessings and all kinds of benedictions along the way. May the pastimes of Shri Krishna protect us all. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Krishna Book ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai. I'll see you all again next week, same time, same place. Already looking forward to it.